I lied. There's a sixth.
There's a sixth.
Oh my gosh.
Slide. I was just gonna quickly say they play a version. They play the Mozart Requiem, but it's like the just what Mozart wrote, which I know other groups have done, and there's certainly a couple of different ways of finishing it off, and it's an interesting. They only get to a little bit of it in the episode, but I was like, oh, so cool. They're kind of alluding to that.
Julianne commented that she does not care for this introductory video that was released for the Sony PlayStation re-release of this game in both Japan and North America.
Yeah, I don't care for them either.
I like it.
It's pretty.
I really like the music to this video, which is the primary reason we're watching it. I think the music arrangement here is quite good.
Got our main theme right here. Which is one of my favorite main themes of all time.
There's a lot in this game that I would put in the favorite of all time category, which we will get to.
Yeah, this soundtrack
I gotta
is spectacular.
fan myself.
But yeah, I mentioned so there's not five, there are six.
Right there.
6 official translations in English of this game.
Jeez.
Some of them are quite similar. The Game Boy Advance version and the PlayStation Portable version that we are playing here are very similar, except that the PSP borrows some of the verbiage and nomenclature from the Nintendo DS retranslation, which is a whole different beast.
I hate that retranslation.
See, I actually think if you take out the voice actors, I think the translation is very good. I think the voice acting is horrid.
The voice acting is so bad.
The text is far richer than it is on the Super Nintendo, the North American Super Nintendo release, which is kind of broken English. Like, there are a lot of points where you can just make fun of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
By the way, we've transitioned to the main theme of Final Fantasies in total.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to Jesse for reminding me that I forgot to change the game video we're watching today.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Are you able to fix that?
I can fix it so it'll appear in the archives correctly, but I can't fix it right now. You're all just going to look at Metroid Fusion. Sorry, folks.
Cool. So that's
anyway,
a movie. That happened.
We're going to get going. And we're going to start, just because this is the way the options are configured by default, with the newer arrangements of the music. And as soon as I gain full control, we can swap back and forth whenever we want.
That was a very JRPG way of saying that. As soon as I gain full control.
That's right.
The raised eyebrow from me, too. I'm such a fuddy-duddy with this stuff. I don't want to change what music is in the game,
Okay, but Red Wing. Oh my god, the bass is so bassy.
Yeah. I'm gonna feel a lot of times on this one like I'm not even familiar with this game. Like everything just looks weird.
I know, like what is
Sounds weird to me. I'm like, what is this? They're too like chibi for me right now. I can't handle this.
Interesting. We've got the sepia screen showing this flashback, which is
that was true on the Super Nintendo
that was
as
true
well.
to the original too. Indeed.
So, an interesting point on translation here. The North American Super Nintendo English version has lines of dialogue between that person is the mayor of Mysidia, who we robbed.
Yeah.
The Japanese game did not have it, and this one does not have it as well. There's no dialogue, he just simply takes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I love the slow rise. Bum, 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 bum. It just like slowly expands outward and upward.
Yeah, I feel like this arrangement is pretty faithful to the original, a couple of the arrangements are not faithful, and we're going to cross those bridges later.
I don't think I've heard any of these versions. So I'm very
I don't know if
interested.
I'm going to be okay.
I prefer it when it's very faithful to the original game.
I do too. All I can hear is the bass right now.
Yeah, it's so bassy.
Oh, see, all I can hear is the brass here.
The brass sample's not my favorite, but it rarely is in any game. Unless
The
they're using
original
drums
brass
for the
sample
brass.
is pretty god-awful. This is better.
But I don't know. I have a soft spot for the exact original timbre that I hear in a game, no matter what it is.
Aha. By the way, Dana, I got tonight's beer especially for you, the Violin Monster.
That's exciting. Oh, it's so cute.
Ooh, it's not bad.
I am doing bourbon and cream soda.
Nice. We got ourselves a bottle of Templeton Rye very recently, which I was thinking about it until I saw this Violin Monster ale.
I enjoy rye.
So many lovely diminished triads. Ooh, that looks 3D. They've arrived at Baron. Here's our castle theme.
Right? It's a fucked up castle theme, right? Stuff is
Right.
weird.
It's always been a messed up castle theme because it's very like shit is going down at the castle. Because most castle themes, I actually read about this in my dissertation, are this very regal, almost dance-like quality, and this is like a very minor, very militaristic castle theme.
Yes. And a lot of them have militaristic elements. They use the kind of march-like brass.
The snare drum is very common as well if you have a game console that supports it well.
Yeah. Or they do a lot of, Baroque dance theme borrowing. That's kind of the other most common trope.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, there's just something about the large leaps. Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
It's a gradual growth outward and rising that kind of plays off of the Red Wings. Red Wings?
Yes, Red
Yes.
Wings is correct.
Yes.
Dana, you always note silences, and again, something
Yes.
beyond what we're told is going down at this point, because there's no real reason to kill the music for him doing his job, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, okay.
And the subtle
And his
bowing
little-
of the head.
Little head tilt there. Good.
Yeah, that
Even
head
on the
tilt is
original
true to the
version
Super
is-
Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah, it's very good.
Also, that little, like, sprite back and forth that they just did, that's like a classic. Like, they caught us.
I think that in Final Fantasy IV and V, both, they get far more emotive visuals out of these tiny sprites than they have any right to.
Silence! It's funny because they're silent.
There you go.
I had a moment where I said, Red Wings. Wait, no, that's the hockey team. But it's the same.
You're right. And this cue, is this called Suspicion?
I think
Yes.
it is, yes.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite rearrangements for this edition of the game, I should mention.
Now, in this one, I really want to draw attention to that bass. To me, it sounds kind of like a nervous heartbeat. Like, that constancy of it.
Yeah. Now, you'll notice that we were sent to the Eidolon village of Mist with the Carnelian Signet. In the Super Nintendo game, you would have been sent to the Summoner's Valley of Mist with a package. It was always supposed to be a ring in the original Japanese.
Like the B-Tub ring from Mario RPG that we looked up.
Is this also the Red Wings tune? I'm sorry, I'm like totally blanking out right now.
No, the
bit.
Red Wings tune is dun 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 dun. We just heard
It's
it.
using some of the same contours.
No,
and
da 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 da
Yes.
da 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 da.
Mhm.
There's a major fanfare that uses many of the same elements of this piece. Yes.
I gotta like.
So who remembers like
So
their
many
science
of your
or
lists.
geology?
Before I move on in the dialogue here, I want to point out, Kane, I think, has always meant to be similar to Dark Knight Cecil here, and the art really reflects that the two are similarly constructed, better than the Super Nintendo game does, I think.
No, it's exactly the Red Wings theme.
Like, that
Sorry,
Kane
I
is
just- I
supposed to be
just-
working for Baron, right? That's the kingdom he's a dragoon for. And his uniform looks more similar to the Dark Knight uniform here than it does in the Super Nintendo game, and I like that.
Okay.
So, fun fact, if you recall from, I don't know if y'all enjoyed your rock unit as much in like high school science, but carnelian is actually in the quartz family. I remember that. It's kind of like a bright reddish-orange color.
Nice.
But even more fun, and that you will be not surprised that I know this, the ancient Egyptians actually referred to carnelian, like the word for it meant the setting sun. Isn't that poetic?
That's very awesome. It's kind of sad in the context of what's about to happen, but
Right?
it's very cool.
I'll have to bring it up.
Tom Slattery, the guy who did both the Game Boy Advance translations for 5 and 6, the Nintendo DS translation for 4, and therefore this translation for 4 as well, mostly, is really smart. I'm not surprised that he knew to add that.
So I will say, while we're still in the castle, that this second half here is finally starting to sound like a regular castle theme to me.
Yes, here
This-
it
you
sounds like
mean
a
part-
regular castle theme. I agree with that.
This section.
Oh yeah,
right
B
here.
section is certainly more.
Also, in this translation, Rosa here notes that she's going to visit him later. The Super Nintendo version of the game censors that idea.
Huh.
Oh dear.
The fan translation of the Super Nintendo game, of the hard-type version, specifically has her say, "I'm coming to your room again tonight," which is a little more direct yet.
Oh! But yeah, I think it's interesting that we get the uh-oh in the A section and not in the B section. Like, it's sort of an interesting subversion that we're already going to mess with the castle theme and we're going to do it right from our A section.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it is that the strings are really carrying the melody, and the brass is just like puncturing, you know?
Yeah.
Which is unusual. It kind of gives like, it also, for me, evokes a sense of hollowness and like something about that timbre, even in this mix. Oh, and the lovely clock.
The
sound.
clock was like a digital clock on the Super Nintendo. It went pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like the analog
This is
clock
so
sound
weird.
is better. Like,
It is. I'll give it that. A lot of this is weirding me out, though.
once we leave the castle, we'll go back and compare to what we've heard so far on the original.
Lines.
This
Oh my gosh.
arrangement is totally the movie version of this piece, not the video game version.
Indeed.
Yeah, like what the heck is this? Oh my gosh. It's the Celtic version.
My heart will go on.
Did you guys hear the Celtic Moon album?
Yes.
Mhm.
This is very much like almost exactly the same as the arrangement on there.
It is.
Yeah.
And
in the context of
Uematsu-
an arrangement, I like it a lot, but this theme and Rydia's theme, which we'll hear later today, the startup is so significantly long that if I was clicking through this dialogue as fast as I could, you'd be done with the scene before the melody comes in both
Yeah.
cases, which is not good for the game setting.
Uematsu has said that he was a little bit inspired by Irish or like Celtic music when he was composing for this game, which is sort of one of the reasons behind making that arrangement album.
Yeah. Aw, come back to me. Two of us could never what? Get married?
Sleep in the
Well,
same
he can't
bed
ever
upstairs?
remove his armor, so.
Oh! Yeah, that would cause some problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some mechanical difficulties, as it were.
But here's the real romance. Real
The
drama.
romance. They're walking like in perfect sync too. That's proof of their romance.
I always hated this, but now I love it.
This
This
was my
moment in the
first
game.
240 character tweet, by the way.
Yes. I love that.
That's perfect.
This made many people that I've talked to think that this was actually the theme of Final Fantasy IV rather than the whole Final Fantasy theme, because this is, I think, the only game where you hear this theme in the game itself rather than the credits or in the intro. But I'm not sure about
In
that.
Final Fantasy 1, when you cross North Bridge, it plays. And so it's often been known as the bridge crossing theme, because you cross the bridge out of Baron Castle here and it plays, and you cross the bridge out of the castle in Final Fantasy 1 and it plays.
Yes.
Well, and I think, the arpeggiated prelude is something that's shown up in so many more games that a lot of people, and it shows up in a prominent place. So a lot of people associate that as the kind of main theme that carries over. There's certainly, the Chocobo theme appears in multiple games. There's themes that appear again and again. But
I will say my favorite version of that bridge crossing prologue theme is from Final Fantasy III, where there's an awesome counterpoint line in the chiptune NSF theme as they meet the crystal for the first time.
Yeah.
In any case, let's
Oh God! Why? Why is this the sound effect? Why is it pitched? Clearly pitched and not a chirp.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
It's ruining my main theme. My favorite.
Alright, let's
Oh,
save
cool.
here. And then hold on a second.
So groovy in the second section.
My emulator's doing weird things, everybody. There we go. Okay, from now on, we're going to save the emulator way. Do you guys want to go back and listen to things?
yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I always like listening. That's what we're here for.
Alright, I'm trying to think of the best way to do that, and it might be to reset the thing and go to the music player. So let's do that. Oh, which means I have to start RetroArch again. The PSP emulator is a little finicky, which is why I made sure to save that state. That I don't have as complete control over it as I would a Super Nintendo game.
I often emulate on Mac, so that's just terrible. Mac emulation is sad.
Yeah, you don't have anywhere near the options that I do.
No. Although my PC keeps getting better and better, so I do have PC emulation available as well.
Alright, this is the original castle theme now.
The bass is a normal mix.
The strings are a little bit out of tune, actually, it feels like. The climb is really highlighted in this one, though.
Yeah. See, this is the brass in that section I really enjoy.
Well, they're definitely brighter, and they give more of that kind of fanfare sound. They have a little bit of a reverb.
Yes.
Right.
And normally I like dark brass because I'm from Cleveland, and for those of you that are into orchestra nerd stuff, Cleveland brass is notoriously dark compared to Chicago. So So like all my horn player friends are always just like, ugh.
Right. By the way, I have to unlock the new arrangements, and I haven't done that yet. So we're just going to hear those in the game, and we'll talk about the originals at this screen instead.
Alright.
Anyway, let's go back to the Red Wings here.
But just we're talking over it the first time.
Got that pedal tone bass, but the brass is really like the single trumpet basically is really carrying it here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas I think in the newer mix it's more a little bit more balanced, like
It's a
balanced,
section in the newer one, right?
but not in the way that I like.
Right.
And I feel like the backing strings give a little more like anxious tension to it than in the other arrangement that I heard.
I think that everything so far has been relatively faithful, though, until we come to this track. I like how exposed the original is.
Just gonna say that.
You feel like you're talking to Rosa, the person. You don't feel like you're hearing a movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's intimate. And what we'll call, I guess, well, yeah, it's like a harp underneath. But that's like such a simple harp arpeggiated accompaniment. It's usually so much more fluid than that.
Right. I would think that the track in the PSP game that we're going to continue to hear as we play is really a reinterpretation. It's not just an arrangement of what exists.
Right.
Mysterious wind instrument.
Whereas, like, the Red Wings and the Castle themes on the PSP, I think the notes are probably the same. The orchestration and balance is different.
This like beautiful swelling moment is so cinematic, though.
This is I agree. That transition,
like the spirit of it, the way that it like crescendos, like the strings come in the section, and then it's like it really builds up. The like official arrangement, like the larger like orchestral arrangement of this, like really just like takes that and makes it so. Anyway.
And then we've got.
Yeah, can we just refer to this as mysterious wind instrument for the rest of the?
Yes, I'm fine. This track, I want to point out for many people, me, Julianne, and Dana's age, this was the moment the Super Nintendo arrived as the Super Nintendo. Is when you heard this theme.
Although, actually, I played this game after I played 6, so, as a kid.
Oh, see, I played 1, and then I played this, and it was, like, mind-blowingly good.
This was... I never played 1, but this was my first.
We played, 3.
We've often remarked that early Super Nintendo games militarize and remix NES music. That is the case for this piece, relative to Final Fantasy 1.
I remember being mad when the PlayStation ones came out. I'm a real fuddy-duddy about re-releases.
The PlayStation re-releases of 4, 5, 6, and Chrono Trigger. 4, 6, and Chrono Trigger were all okay. The problem was that there were significant load times for every menu choice and every combat instance, which is bad for these games. Final Fantasy V was hot garbage on the PlayStation. That translation is like horribly bad to the point where the dragon creature that we call a wyvern appropriately in translation was translated there as the letter Y-burn. And the whole translation is about that bad. Anyway, one more track from the original and then we'll keep going on with the game. I like how this one fades in. It starts out really quiet and fades in volume as the world map loads.
Yeah, it crescendos up, which is weird. Like,
and then arpeggio is just one of my favorites.
It's so active. I just love this, and I love the drums, and I love how like high they are in the mix as well.
Yeah.
And then like just the beautiful sort of soaring melody over with the counter melody and the strings. And like it's like not, and it's very it's not like a typical. I mean, the harmonies are so interesting, and yet so not like they're not crazy, but like the kind of modal mixture that's going on is really cool.
Yeah, this one. The first time I ever heard the main theme in the game, like this just ruins it for me.
The cool arpeggios are downplayed here.
And that's a lot of, I think, what gave me that feeling of wonder the first time I played. Like, oh my god, the world feels so open.
Yeah. Whoa, that bass!
About that bass, about that bass.
I can't get over it. It's so
That's
like.
old.
I tell you what, for a little bit, why don't we do this and play with the original music for a while?
Thank you.
And then as we
It's so much better.
then as we repeat themes, we can go visit the PSP versions.
Anyone else like
I really love that this game lets you choose, by the way.
this grass triplet? Don't.
I like the transition into the battle is no longer that really ripping theme. It's just more like it's more like the modern Final Fantasy transition.
Yeah.
Well,
It is
sort of
the
modern.
I can use again and
I love that this is like a really like major mode. Like it's sort of like goes between C major and A minor.
In defense
like,
of the rearrangements, by the way, I'll point out that the PSP is a portable system, and so it pops less into your ears there on hardware than it does on the emulator, the way we're hearing it.
makes sense. Oh man, this theme, one of my favorites.
Actually,
Exactly.
here. Why don't I let it go through one loop, then I'll switch back, and then we'll play with the original every time there's a new track.
So again, we have this gorgeous harp arpeggiation happening is underneath everything. And we have these huge leaps. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
really like evoking the sense of like wandering because you're sort of going between like an F minor and a G flat. Like it's where like the bass is kind of groovy. It's like the only that and the hi-hat are like the only thing that's grounding this. But these are like these triads are separated like a tritone apart or something. Like it's just sort
Yeah.
of like
Here's the arrangement.
very whooshy. Okay.
I arranged this for my high schoolers, and there's a lot of fun tritone action.
Yeah.
And this one's actually very similar, because this
Oh, yeah.
track is perfect. There's no need to change a thing.
You just get heavier bass, a little bit more reverb.
A lot of the time, I think the heavier bass is warranted. That's partially a limitation of what the Super Nintendo could output. Because here it's
One
not
thing I
as if
also
it
love about
overpowers
this
it.
theme is the way that it ends, which we'll get to here in a moment. Just that,
Yep.
that kind of like wandering fade out,
Mm-hmm.
which is exactly how it begins, so it helps
Right.
the loop restart, but this. Like you lose your train of thought.
Yeah.
And this like kind of like it like evokes sort of like a weird like Danse Macabre because it's in like triple. It sort of reminds me like a different kind of version of that Super Mario RPG ship theme, like in a totally different like spirit and affect, but kind of trying to evoke a similar thing.
It's funny, I avoided talking about the Final Fantasy IV world map theme in my dissertation because it's the one that doesn't do what I argued most field map themes do, which is have a lot of repeated sequences that drive you forward and doing the same action moving across the world. Final Fantasy IV doesn't do that in the slightest, whereas 3, 5, and 6 all do it. By the way, I first played this on an emulator in the 90s, like on the original version of SNES 9X. And the cool transparency effect we're seeing with the mist, which is slightly more complicated here than it was on the Super Nintendo. Because here it's very clear in the immediate area around Cecil. And on the Super Nintendo it was just a blanket translucency effect, right?
Right.
But the original version of the emulators did not do any transparency whatsoever, so you could not see inside of Mist Cave.
One of my favorite things that when I first started emulating, playing with like disabling layers and like that was so fascinating to me.
Yeah, there's a really fascinating discussion on this in Chris Kohler's book on Final Fantasy V that he wrote for Boss Fight Books. He is the original author of the Final Fantasy V FAQs for English players who had pirated the ROM. And there's a sequence there in Final Fantasy V, just like this cave, where you have to turn off individual layers. And people were writing him constantly like, how do you get through this black lagoon of maze? And he's like, there is no maze in the game, what are you talking about?
Right.
And he's like, oh.
Oops.
By the way, one of the cool new additions, it looks really pretty, so I did it. To Final Fantasy IV from the North American release is that Cecil has this move called Darkness, which lets him hit everything on the screen at the cost of some of his own health. And most of the characters have an additional move that they did not have in the North American release of the game.
These were just called
Sleep
summons in the original game?
Correct,
Just
they're
summons?
just called summons.
Or and then you could call them, right? Like
That's right.
it was call was
Right, the colors.
Yeah.
Right.
Love some swirling mess.
It's a very cool graphical effect to summon the boss there, by the way. It's not nearly as cool in the original.
Oh, I love this boss theme.
One thing that this boss theme does that lots of tracks do in this game is start with a leap to a semitone, like da da da, like da 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 da. Like so many tracks do that. It's kind of like a motif in this game. I don't know if I would call it that, but it's something that the regular battle theme doesn't do, and so it sort of puts sort of boss battles at more narratively poignant, like than regular battles are sort of more ludic obstacles that you kind of have to get through.
Spoony Bard correctly points out that it's from the battle theme in Final Fantasy I. Though I do want to point out to him that if you play the Game Boy Advance, PSP, or iOS releases of Final Fantasy I, they added a new boss track, and I really like it.
This was my ringtone once, and it went off in class really loudly. The only person that recognized it was my TA. And he's like, nice.
Stellar.
And I'm like, goodbye.
You're like mortified.
So shy. It was like freshman year, yeah.
Okay, so what I love about this theme too, is we're talking about these rising like pitch things. We have ba da 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 da, and then it rises again. Da 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 da.
Yeah,
it like pumps it up a little bit because we're in a boss battle.
Yeah. Oh, I have a gameplay critique to make. In Final Fantasy IV, 5, and 6, the first boss of each of those games teaches you that there are times where you shouldn't attack. And then in each of those games, that is not true for any of the rest of the game.
Ryan, I can barely hear you.
Yeah, it's low on my end too.
Okay, I'll see what I can do about that.
Sorry.
After I finish this boss fight.
Okay.
No, you're right too, because like Welt goes into a shell, and the Mist Dragon turns into mist, and yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And there's no other boss in any of those games where you have to wait significantly, the way that you do here.
Yeah.
I love how that victory fanfare is just like, shut the hell up, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Got that flat 6,
Nice
flat
little
7, 1 cadence.
All right,
whole
check,
thing.
check. Can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think.
good.
Yeah, that's way better.
To Jarrell, I don't know if there's a boss in Final Fantasy VII offhand that makes you wait. The first boss might. Yes, he does, actually, in the reactor. The first boss does.
Just know that.
And it's interesting because it kind of puts the brakes on you. You're like, oh, fuck, I gotta like go hard with everything.
Yep,
It's like the
Jarrell
game is
correct.
teaching
It's the
you
weird
strategy
scorpion
guides.
thing. Bolt? Scorpion?
Okay, that graphic
Weird?
is
I don't know.
Dana, wasn't it you that was talking about how the trumpets kind of have that little Baroque turn?
No, I'm saying it's very Spanish.
Oh,
the little
no.
turn.
Yeah, you said the mariachi kind of turn.
Yeah, speaking of, not that I think that Mariachi Entertainment System watches these streams, but if you do, can you please do that theme for me? That would make me
that would
happy.
be so good.
They do Terra from FF6,
wait.
and I'm like, the obvious choice is that battle theme.
Before I trigger the mist sequence, let's listen to both versions of the track here.
Yeah. So what I love about this one is we talked about the subverted castle theme. I like how melancholy this is for a town theme. There's a lot of minor chord moments.
This still does what I argue town themes do, which is remain very harmonically simple relative to other tracks in the game, and have a very stepwise melody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Spoonie Bard 82 brings up a good point. It really triggers the pastoral kind of mode. It's very ballad-like. Often town themes are sing-songy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is this? This is like the Celtic Moon theme version of this.
This is basically the Celtic Moon arrangement of the track.
Yeah, it is.
Woof.
I mean, well, it's more pastoral now.
Yeah, certainly.
Part of that is because how you identify pastoral is by instrumentation, and the instrumentation is more clear on the modern arrangement. That turn da-da-da is added, and it is also more pastoral.
Oh, little turn there. Ooh.
Yeah. All right.
I feel like it's interesting. Like,
We're
I think
gonna
it's
stay
very
on the modern
similar,
music
but
because I can't access Rydia's theme otherwise. Then we'll load and hear Rydia's theme.
like
Okay.
I feel like it was just like missing a bait, like a low string somewhere. Like it feels a little bit more ethereal than the original does. Oh, and guess what? You
Bombs.
Yep, that ring you were sent to
brought a
deliver to the town.
bomb.
You're gonna burn the village down.
It burns everyone but you and some other an important character. Oh wow, this is terrifying.
Holy hell.
The visuals are more intense here.
Yes. I
There's
think
actual
so.
fire noises.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a lot of the games that use like a fire sound effect. It's very specific as an aural icon, but this is actually a little more realistic.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, this is awkward.
I just love the drums in this, and it's really brought out in this arrangement.
I skipped over it in the dialogue. There's a point at which Kane says, "Save it. This isn't just for you that I'm doing this." And that's gonna come up again later. I shouldn't have skipped past that dialogue so quickly.
Like it's a catastrophe theme at its most simplistic with that semitone. Like all that's it.
The original version of the piece is actually quite similar to this, sans cymbals.
Yeah.
It doesn't have cymbals? I thought it did.
They don't resonate nearly as thoroughly into the mix as these do.
Certainly, yeah.
And this is one of the rare tracks that, because the percussion is so vital to what's going on here, I like this version better. And I don't say that a lot about the PSP version.
I'm not super attached to it's the ones I'm really attached to. I'm tending to not like the redos.
Of course,
but
yeah.
this one I'm like, that works.
Yeah. The bass is a lot lower, which surprises me.
Ooh.
It seems like on the other ones the bass is higher.
I don't love her sprite in this.
Yeah. What is she? Yeah. Well, it will change.
Yeah, luckily.
We'll see what it looks like
See
later.
what it has in store for us. This is like when Kafka destroys the world and it splits in the middle and then people are falling in the crevasse.
Yes.
It's an underused word.
Some silence.
Crevasse!
Yeah, but the original was also silent here.
Yes.
I like her little heart barrette.
Peter Schultz did a paper on this exact... Oh, maybe it was when he washed up on the beach. There are so many of these kinds of moments in this game where, like, everything is a little bit destroyed and you sort of wash up somewhere and it's silent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm actually
Like,
not going to reload and hear the original version of that for now, I think. We'll recap that
That's fine.
later. I am going to hear both versions of Rydia's theme because it's a far more important piece for the game.
Yeah, this like real flute, I can't handle it. You need that fake weird woodwind.
I always liked this town with all the water everywhere.
Yeah, it looks really nice here, actually, too. So, this is the modern music, again, in case people missed where I switched it.
Oh no, there's no mistaking.
And we've done it to hear this theme's modern arrangement. Again, it's the movie version.
So much harp. Or guitar, I don't know.
Oh,
So much plucked string. Ah, there we are.
And I actually really like the instrumentation they've chosen here. I just wish the introduction didn't take so long.
Yeah. So do they always do that introduction whenever the character themes play again?
Yes.
Okay. Because I mean, I think it'd be cool if the introduction only played at the introduction of the character. And then you got to the more of the melody when it's their moment.
there's no way to have this conversation. Sorry I killed your mother.
I know, right?
I didn't realize I was killing your mother. We'll still be friends.
I need to look something up as this plays, then I'll reload for the original version of the piece. That's what it's called.
Yeah, this one doesn't bother me.
It is almost like a prolongated sleeping theme.
It's
So they're in the right place.
the tracks that bother me on the arranged version are where they don't absolutely flipping nail the instrumentation. When they get it right, I'm all about it. And this track, the melody, it sounds the way I think it should sound. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The way that it's projected to sound in the original.
Right. Before we go back and listen to this scene with the original orchestration, I want to... There's a killer arrangement of this piece of music. From the Final Fantasy IV arrangement album from Overclocked Remix, which you're now hearing.
Am I? Oh, there I am. Nice mashup.
I had never thought about those two pieces being so directly related until I heard this. And the piano playing on this is just gorgeous.
Beautiful.
I'd kill for the sheet
like
music
this.
to this, by the way. And here's Rydia's theme full.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to listen to all 5 minutes of this, but you should
Really
in your own
pretty.
time because it's
I like it.
amazing.
Yeah, I think I get particularly weird when we're using some sort of new orchestration over the original gameplay. Like, I have a lot less difficult of a time listening to a complete overhaul or remix from OC Remix than I do playing the game with music that sounds a little different.
Well, right, and
No.
of course that piano piece is not actually meant to stand in for the original
Yeah.
melody the way that the PSP
Yeah,
arrangements
that's
are, right?
Yeah.
So here's the original piece of music.
Oh, it's like, where'd she go? There she is.
Just like Rosa's, it's very, very intimate compared to
Yeah.
every arrangement that exists.
With that fluty woodwind and the harp.
Mysterious.
It also,
Oh,
because of
for what
how
we're calling it.
isolated it is, where it's just melody and harp, it connects her to Rosa in a way that is not done in any of the arranged versions of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about Rydia's theme, but Rosa's theme was so popular in Japan that it showed up in Suzuki Method books for years after the release of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not an unknown soundtrack to game players or Japanese listeners.
Mysterious wind instrument. That was it.
Progression.
That's right,
Yes.
mysterious wind instrument.
Now, anytime I do transcription, I'm gonna have to use that. Mysterious wind. I love that intro into that scene.
I will say, on the whole, I do like these arrangements for the PSP more than either the Game Boy Advance or Nintendo DS arrangements, both of which I kind of think are garbage.
What's going on? Keyboard?
Sorry, what? I was like
Going on?
playing Lydia's theme.
It's okay. Appreciate
Lydia,
that.
however you want to
Just
say it.
lean up first, right there.
While we're listening to a theme we've heard again, I want to mention something in the gameplay that I hadn't thought to say before. In the original Super Nintendo version of the game, you cannot see the bars that tell you when your turn is coming. But they did exist. Final Fantasy IV is the first game to use that system. So this has not been added back into that game. It's just that they show you the information you expect having played Final Fantasies 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Now we know her name. She's no longer girl.
That's right. For most American game players, this would have been the first RPG where characters had names, that you weren't automatically invited to name them. You can change the names. Every town, there's a character you can talk to change the names.
Naming way?
But, yeah, right.
I
But
have to go look at him. I
I
want to see what he
feel like
looks like.
this is the
It's
first
right
game
here.
most North American players would have played in terms of Japanese RPGs where, like, it's clearly, I don't care what you call him, he's Cecil, right?
And
Yeah.
wouldn't you argue that it's kind of at that moment that we really start to see a schism between this and like a D&D role-playing game style system?
Yes, I agree
Yeah.
entirely.
In terms of
Wholesale.
gameplay, it's really focusing you on this is a narrative because these characters have specific names.
Right.
That's right. I will say, I know that some people don't like it, but I think the light ray filter over the town on this version of the game is awesome. You can see it, like, as I walk back and forth.
I think it's a little much, but it's cool.
Note how, like, that decrescendo, which happened in the original version, too, if I recall correctly. Oh,
Well, we're hearing the originals right now.
so similar to
This is the
Radiant's theme.
uh,
Yes.
Yeah, we are getting that connection. I love that.
Right, and if you have the arrangements on, no matter what arranged version you're playing, you miss out on the timbral similarity. Because almost invariably, this melody goes to a string in Rose's theme and magical wind instrument in Rydia's theme.
So pretty.
Wait, touch the fire.
Are you really going to claim that all women are the same, Julianne?
They are musically.
I don't think that's what we're getting at. What other connections are there between the
I'm very
characters that
cynical.
maybe flesh out a little further than just, they share the same bits? Oh, that's a planet of video game context.
They're magical because also all women are magical.
There you go.
That's right, we need to do that, sorry. Alright.
Now, some stereotypes are based in truth, though, because I can't think of a time I've ever played, like, a tabletop RPG and not wanted to be, like, a healer, so.
But maybe you were enculturated that way.
I am white mage.
You've been socialized to be a healer.
It's cool.
Alright, we're not doing this.
My brother came over on Sunday for WrestleMania, and he came over a few hours early. He Joe's, like, crazy setup here with the video games. He has a projector that projects on the whole wall. So
Nice. Yeah, I saw you watching WrestleMania with that.
But I was playing Creed Origins, and my brother was like, he nailed it right away. He's like, you're not a melee fighter. You're like, stand on top of the building and like snipe everybody with an arrow. I'm like, that's exactly what I do.
Nothing wrong with that.
What's wrong with that? It's true.
Spoony Bard? I don't actually know that. What does the rod do at low level? Or what does the rod do if I use it in combat? I guess we'll
I
find
actually
out.
don't think I know that either.
Never needed it back.
I used to always think those are eggs.
Strangely, I don't care about getting experience at all with Cecil or Rydia. I know that Dana gives me a hard time about playing low level, but here I have a good reason for not caring.
Why does she have brown hair? Oh, it's Tella.
It is Tella.
It's Zelda.
Why does he look like...
What is happening with his glasses?
That's what he looked like. Well, he had glasses in the original. I think it's his hair.
I like how his glasses are green on the sprite, but more like bluish purple on the.
On the Amano portrait? Yeah.
Yeah, he looks too cool. Whoa, that was different.
No, that was the same. You just remember it poorly. Because I'm on the original tracks right now.
It's exact same pitches, but the arrangement is weird sounding.
We're not in the arrangement though.
Right. What I'm telling you is we're hearing the original music right
We're
now.
playing the original right
We
now.
are? That
Yeah.
sounded so weird. Maybe it's my headphones.
That short fanfare
honest,
is
I was
actually
playing with
better
like a
in the
7-inch
arrangement.
TV.
I'll try to have us hear it in the arrangement sometime soon.
Yes, it was different. Yes, thank you.
I mean, we are all literally hearing things. But are we listening?
Thank you.
By the way, I hadn't pointed it out before, but in this version of the game, you can have sprint shoes like Final Fantasy 5 and 6. I'm using them.
Yay! I love sprint.
It actually does, I think, have the encounter rate as well, which is ridiculous.
I love how you just carry around cottages. That
know,
concept
right?
in this game really makes me laugh.
Maybe they're blow-up cottages.
I really like that this is the first save point in all of Final Fantasy, the franchise, because the first 3 games have none of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so they take like a whole cutscene to explain the concept of save points to you.
Mm. And they're just like staying up late. She's sleepy 'cause she's a little kid.
Is this the cave dripping noise?
Yes,
Mhm.
it is.
It's so good. It's so resonant and evocative.
So this is also different than the SNES version.
Ooh,
so
Karen,
stuff is
she
different.
loves the bard.
What now?
The sound effects,
Tell his daughter
Julianne,
to
are all
love the bard.
added from the PSP. Only the music is the same as the Super Nintendo.
Well- I think that musical stinger was different. I think it was.
Okay.
For the We Join the Party.
So Karen, you're obviously okay with like a chick marrying a bard. He doesn't consent to their union, but I feel like you'd be okay with it.
I think bards, depending on the territory, sometimes they're not so trustworthy.
Maybe not the one that you're looking at.
Hey, so that we hear the boss theme in arrangement, we're going to play the rest of this dungeon on the arranged tracks.
Okay.
Alrighty.
I do like the sense of space that this cave track creates, by the way. One of the things these arrangements do well is make use of stereo sound in a way that was not done on the original tracks because of obvious limitations.
I had a hard time finding good Final Fantasy IV swag on Redbubble. I will say that's why I'm not wearing anything from Final Fantasy right now. There is one shirt that I sent to Karen that it has the "You Spoony Bard," and I was like, that's as close as I got. But I tend to like the ones that are like, you know, a title screen or box art or something like something that's like a full graphic. I like that look.
Make your
Maybe I'll
own.
find something.
The victory theme is ridiculous in arrangement, by the way.
Oh,
It's like every instrument is playing it.
Right.
Instead of like just the brass or something. Brass with
everybody's
the...
in unison.
Yeah.
Worth noting, the North American release has a save point in that wall, because it's the easy type version of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it wants something to be there.
Right.
That wall affords a door.
I normally like a lot of bass, but I find it a little overpowering here.
Especially in this this disco-y bass is much more prominent in this arrangement.
This totally wrecks the whole like Spanish flair that I hear in the original tracks. I'm very attached to that. I have to give a shout out to Alex Friedman, who's my high school boyfriend. We've had so many conversations on Messenger about this because he's like, no one agrees with me. You're the only person I feel like will agree with me on this. It's like, yeah, I hear
Got
it.
that Spanish flavor. I still hear it as like a kind of like a chorale. If you play it slowly, it's very sort of chorale-like.
Mm,
But I mean, I can get the.
I hear the Spanish flavor to the original.
I appreciate that very much.
Maybe it's a Spanish chorale.
Maybe it's a Spanish chorale. There you go.
Same.
Nice.
Yeah, this face sucks.
It's so...
It's very 80, like it's
Yeah. Which normally I'm not opposed to at all.
right. Like it just doesn't fit
Right.
with the Spanishy corral, like weird thing that's going on.
Yeah, here, let's let everybody... Because there's a field screen before the boss. So we'll go back to the originals, which isn't as annoying in the base.
Who cares?
I'm not fighting those things. No, get out of
I
here.
got excited because Joe's watching old wrestling, and I just saw Paul Bearer. So, for those of you that know wrestling, The Undertaker had this, like, creepy dude that followed him around named Paul Bearer. Like, Paul.
Wow.
And he just wore a suit, and he was really pale, and he would carry this urn. Did the urn have Undertaker's, like, ashes in it? Because he's undead? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, so it has, like, The Undertaker's ashes in it, because The Undertaker's an undead wizard, of course.
Mankind.
What? Interesting.
Alright, now let's hear the arranged boss theme by jumping down here.
Yay! I'm excited. Fight this Octomama, or whatever it's called, I don't remember.
Octomom?
Yeah, something like
Is that a
that.
reference that happens anymore?
Oh my god, Octomom. But isn't that what this boss is, though?
It is, I think, yeah.
It's an Octomom. There he is. I love this.
So here's our arranged boss theme.
Octomammoth.
Octomammoth.
I
But
love
it's
the
a
strings
mammoth?
here.
Yes,
The bass
yes,
is
it's
not good.
Octomom.
By the way, Tella's unique ability added to, well, that was absent in the original North American release of the game is called Recall, and it casts a random black magic spell. Any, I might get Flare and kill this boss with a single shot, which is why I'm doing it.
Media.
Again, it's the same bass that we heard in the battle theme.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, what is this, like,
Depends.
80s, like, Madonna bass? What is going on?
Bum, 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 bum.
Which I like in context, but not here.
I made it through the wilderness.
Exactly.
You do not get to scorn
Yes,
Nile
The
Rodgers.
extra animations on Rydia's Chocobo summon are adorable here.
You nailed it though. That is totally Madonna. I did a paper on Madonna in undergrad. It was about her erotica album and the accompanying textbook. So
I
it was
love
kind
the
of
marimba run as the Chocobo exits. That does not exist in the original, I don't think. Tella's being a big loser and not remembering anything, which sucks.
like a version.
This guy's like the precursor to, oh my god, what's his name?
Ultras?
Yes!
Not purple enough though. He's just starting to purple over
And there's
a little
no
bit.
personality here either, it's just a random squid.
Just a
I
random.
don't know. I don't know. Look at those eyes.
The eyes, they're ready to be weird.
He looks like he just made like a really devastatingly bad pun,
Yeah, he does.
and he's trying to get you to react to it.
Not like what I just freaking wrote in the. Trying not to curse.
Yes, exactly like that, Julianne.
I live for your puns, Julianne.
They're so bad. I'm glad
Give me
that
life.
You're like, fill me with joy.
They're like cure food. Cure food. You know what? You know why I don't like Rydia's sprite? She has the I want to speak to a manager haircut, and she's way too young.
Yes! You're right. The front is long and the back is spiky. Yeah, she's too young for that.
To be fine with that.
I didn't know such a description existed for the haircut, but that's pretty awesome.
It definitely is.
Manager haircut is classic.
See, like, the battle uses the chirp sound, but the regular menu uses that pitch, which is noisy and stupid. Can't wait till we get
that
outside.
fanfare actually sounds more normal to me in the arrangement now than the original.
Right?
It works.
I don't know. I think they're the same. I think that they didn't
I don't know.
I think they don't consider that music, which I think is an interesting point. More of a sound effect. Because it's not... Oh! Not listed in the soundtrack.
Oh man!
Man, I was gonna explore that castle! Now I can't. Sort
Right.
of.
Okay, so I hear harpsichord underneath brass here in the arranged version.
Yes.
Let's
so,
go to the original. Because this is the only convenient time in the entire game to
Yeah.
switch these. Otherwise, it's always like move, move, move.
I think this is literally the run theme. Called Run.
Okay, it's still kind of harpsichord under brass,
It's
but
pretty similar, yeah.
yeah.
This is a good devastation in the desert theme.
Yeah. Let's let this loop once, then we'll do the arrangement.
We got those
and then
bells
switch back.
there. Not like the jingle bells.
I like
And the way the
new,
phrase ends there, bum, bum.
the new translucent texture here is really cool, I think. Like, the sand is blowing
They
into the
really
castle
like
because
their
it's been
texture.
bombed.
So they've texture over everything in this game so far.
Well, what's interesting is if you play the After Years version, the texture is gone because Damcyan is rebuilt 7 years after the game. The
This
sand's
is like
not coming in anymore.
Sand getting kicked up. Yeah.
Hashtag no filter.
What do we got here?
So much slower.
Yeah, very much slower.
It's like
I'm okay with it.
underwater, but the water's actually molasses.
Well, it's the waves of sand, right? It's like the dunes are kind of these.
There's not actually that much difference except for tempo, I don't think.
Why
No,
did they slow it down so much?
I don't know.
Like, that's a decision.
It is a decision for sure.
Like, what, did it not sound sad enough?
You know, the other place this comes up is Eblon, which is like emptied.
Mhm.
So you only hear this exploring castle ruins. So maybe they purposely did
Yeah.
slow it down for affect. I don't think it needs it though.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much about it that's already, like, depressing.
Right. Fox.
You're relying on that strange wind instrument to carry it, too.
This whole thing for me hinges on the way that it lands on that. Bum, bum.
Yeah.
Alright, let's hear that stinger arranged now.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That echo. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, there was like yeah.
Here's the original one more time.
You hear the bass more prominently in that, which is probably the only time that the original soundtrack has it more prominent. Oh, the bard looks so sad. Look at this picture.
I love his tiny hat.
Yay! Sorry.
Tell us past. I mean, it's not like the bard killed her, man. Like, did you not see the people bomb the entire castle?
I know, right?
Come on. Like, I get that you're mad, but...
But remember that he didn't know the castle was going to be bombed when he left, and he was out to get this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. So he's going to take out his rage, either way.
Silence again.
I love the idea of, like, she ran away with the musician. God, why would you date him? And he turns out to be the prince/king, right?
Yeah.
I love the term outlaws.
Yeah. I kind of go between the two.
I always love yogurt.
Oh, I love this theme. Oh, hold on. I have to pull something up. After we listen to this, we might have to take a little...
Yeah, sure.
Sorrow and Loss, an arrangement of the main theme of the game. But only the A section of the main theme.
That's right.
Yeah.
In a different key. So what instrument is this?
No idea. This one?
I think I originally called it plucked string.
I think it wants to be a plucked string.
It's trying. It has keyboard-like capabilities.
Okay.
It's played like a keyboard.
The arpeggiated, like, ostinato whatever in this
Yeah.
reminds me a heck of a lot of Find Your Way from Final Fantasy VIII, if we want to take a listen to that in a moment.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why don't I pause, and I will bring it up on YouTube here.
Yes.
I love Final Fantasy VIII.
I do too. It's a
So, here's the thing.
underrated game.
I hated and despised Final Fantasy VIII for a long time, until I got the Steam version, which is heads and tails better than every other release. Objectively.
Well, okay. I'll have to try it.
And do you know what the only difference is? The draw command.
The draw is actually
It doesn't require a load from the CD, because everything is on your hard
That's
drive.
good.
As a result, the game takes me like 6 hours sooner or less to complete. Anyway, here is Find Your Way from 8 when we put it on the stream.
Sorry,
now.
I'm not gonna scream sing this as it plays.
Okay, good.
It's even a similar timbre, which is what initially glued me into it.
Ooh, that bass, though. The bass here is actually very Final Fantasy VII, City of the Ancients.
Aw, PlayStation games.
I know.
I miss them.
Oh, this is also City of the Ancients. That...
Huh?
Very cool. I'll wait.
like playing this on piano. It's really fun.
It sounds really technical on piano, actually. I don't know if I'd like it. Because I'm a
I play
lazy
very
piano
slowly.
player. Okay. I'm tempted to load this, turn on the arrangements, and see what the arrangement does. I'll fast forward until we get to that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that.
Do it. I'm curious.
That was great.
But I love him.
But I love you. Oh.
All harp.
Very harpy.
Ooh, synthesizer.
Yeah, what?
Ooh, it's like cool though. It's real,
It's like the weird space patch.
like crystally.
The space patch
That's-
makes sense to me, but only because I know what happens in this game far down the line.
I don't know why that strikes me as so funny. Like this connection to, you know, whatever happens, we're not going to give it away, even though everyone who's watching this has played this game.
Also, I mentioned Final Fantasy VII's City of the Ancients. This synth sample reminds me of that as well. Because there's like a spacey crystal patch in the PlayStation FF7 soundtrack as well.
And Final Fantasy VIII, which we, you know, they also go to space.
They do.
Famous. Famously
It's
so.
way more romantic and more lame there. Have to
Oh
say.
my god. That's, I won't talk about it.
I want to make this into like a violin like etude. It's so bizarre.
What, this harp piece?
Uh-huh. Like, what are these chords?
By the way, if you were going to modernize the orchestration at all, this has to be played on harp, right? This is the only acceptable modernization.
Oh my
of the
god,
track.
yes.
If they had not done it on harp, we'd all be screaming, right?
Uh-oh. Did they not do it on harp? Wait, is this? No, this is the.
This is the
mod-
arrangement. You're hearing. the
Okay.
harp.
I'm like, oh my god.
I don't even know anymore.
This
So
was
thrown by all of it.
the very first thing I ever downloaded from the internet that was music, like sheet music. Like
Yeah.
when I first got the internet, like at the library, we didn't have it at home. Was
Nice.
this track, like some random like piano arrangement of this. I was like 12, and I like learned it, and that's like the only thing I had from video games.
I love this piece of music. I think it's great.
Love it. It's beautiful.
I remember the days of Napster and how you'd like download something and it was mislabeled and you wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I like the
bad.
retard at the close of the loop, by the way. That's not in
Yeah.
the Super Nintendo.
I think
you sure?
it is actually. I think it is.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was just listening to this entire soundtrack today in the car. I went and returned all my library books, and so I was like, I'm gonna listen to Final Fantasy IV on the drive out.
Oh, you studied.
Nice.
It wasn't really studying, it was just, I'm gonna think of some, like, doughy things to say about this soundtrack. And by doughy, I mean, I didn't even put them in the
Doughy.
oven. They're not even half-baked.
Ah.
Very nice. Excellent. Good pun.
Nice callback.
Yeah, right? I'm referencing Julianne back to herself.
I was like, Dowie, what do you mean?
You made some reference at Maximum about, like, this question isn't even half-baked.
I did.
And then everyone on Twitter was just like, your half-baked questions are, like, better than my fully baked questions.
That was like the sweetest thing ever. I love
You asked-
Mexico.
You ask the best questions. When you're not able to be at a conference, I miss it. I miss your question asking in particular.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
Thanks.
You guys are so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ask any questions if I weren't responding to great papers. There's that.
Also, I know that my moniker is Bardic Knowledge, and I love Edward, but he sucks as a party member. Like, what a waste.
It's like he's supposed to be better in the North American than over.
You know, he's not actually bad in the remake. as we're gonna find at the end game, all of the characters who leave or die and come back to life at the end are playable. You can choose your own party once you go to the moon. And each of them has a special cave with a super weapon in it to make them, like, as powerful as the normal endgame cast. And Edwards is not bad. But I still hate him.
He's even too shy for his portrait.
Ooh, I'm not fighting that. No. I do like that most versions of Final Fantasy IV, you can run away from damn near anything.
Yeah. But sometimes you drop gold.
That's fine. Don't need it.
I don't think you're ready for that yellow jelly.
I would be if I would abuse Cecil's darkness to fight it and kill myself. But that is inadvisable.
Oh, nice little sand pit.
This reminds me of Chrono Trigger.
Exactly! What was that thing called? Like zombie?
I think it's Zombor? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
That game had the worst names.
It does. They're real cheesy. Oh my god, look at this.
Not as bad as Super Mario RPG.
He has the same eyes as the mammoth.
Now he made an even worse one.
He's almost dead from how bad his pun was.
Oh my god, yes.
This is like, I don't know if any of you guys are like Game Grumps fans, but one of my all-time favorites is when they start doing Joke Yoda. They're playing Super Mario Maker levels that are really hard, and they keep doing the same one over and over again. And so Eric, he takes on this Yoda voice, and he keeps doing these like Star Wars pun jokes in a Yoda voice. And they're like, it's like, Dan, I have funny jokes with you. And he's like, what is it, Yoda? I'll link it. It's one of my favorite.
By the way, based on how long things are taking right now, I think we go to Mysidia, but do Mount Ordeals at the start of next week.
Awesome.
It's fair.
And as fewer tracks show up and like more tracks start to repeat, we'll be able to move faster, but there's no reason to go fast when we hear all these cool new tracks all the time.
For you, Dan.
Whoa.
I just remembered how good that is.
Oh, in the new version of the game, I really like the sound effect for Edward's harp, even though I still hate him. It's just
Yeah.
weird.
Nothing redeems for Edward.
No, he's trash.
Also, you can't hear that sound effect again because Edward is literally automatically hiding from combat at this point.
Alright, in response to the Edward is trash, I submit the following image.
Oh. It's a garbage can! Not a garbage cannot.
Oscar's so wise.
I always loved Oscar, though. For sure.
I did too.
There's an amazing essay entitled Thank God for Oscar the Grouch that's like, can you imagine somebody pitching Oscar the Grouch to a children's program today? A homeless person living in a trash can who's like bitching all the time?
You're right, yeah.
True. I love him like in the Sesame Street, what is it, Christmas Eve on Sesame Street special. And he's just like giving Big Bird a hard time about like, how does Santa Claus get down a New York City chimney when they're so skinny, and he's like being an ass all the time. And then,
Like-
you know, Big Bird, they're trying to consider it, and Oscar's just like, it's like trying to fit a basketball into a ginger ale bottle.
Oscar is the best. You'll never convince me otherwise.
Cookie Monster Steve thoughts. Have you guys seen these?
No.
I don't think I have.
They're so good. Like he says, lasagna is just spaghetti flavored cake. If tomato is a fruit, that makes it a
Oh, onion rings are vegetable donuts. That's actually really good.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's weird that we cook bacon and bake cookies. Lobsters are mermaids to scorpions.
I like these wholesome memes.
They're so good.
I don't normally like warping around, by the way, but I just wanted out of that dungeon. Sorry, Dana.
It's okay.
That door opens so violently.
Yeah. So having to actually choose the item to use on Rosa instead of just, like if this were Final Fantasy V or 6, the game would just know that you have it and proceed with the cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
This is a holdover from Final Fantasy II on Famicom, where you had to memorize a whole bunch of passwords from all the dialogue and then share those passwords with the right people, and sometimes the passwords were items that you would receive, and it's all complicated. And they really should have just had it automatically trigger. There's no reason I have to choose the same pearl.
Yeah. That's interesting. And also, why is it not Sand Ruby?
I don't know what it was in the original translation, honestly, so I don't know.
Pearls are always associated with holy and healing, though, so kind of works.
True.
But the giant from Final Fantasy 1 eats the ruby, and I like rubies. There, I've made a connection too.
Not a contest. Again, I like that he apologizes for a rumor that he didn't start. I'm sorry to put you through that. Like, oh,
Right.
sweetie.
Sorry you feel that way.
Right, I'm sorry you feel that way is different from I'm sorry for putting you through that.
Over, yeah.
It's like, is it the Dimitri Martin joke where he sings about, like, I'm sorry and I apologize are the same thing unless you're at a funeral?
I
Edward's
love that
portrait is
arpeggio
just
as
so
everything comes in.
gay.
Edward's portrait is so what?
He's just so like, I'm gonna stare down and look sad.
He's super wistful.
Very, like, 19th century character.
Yeah. Like he probably has tuberculosis or something.
Picturize like...
Probably has
He wrote a
tuberculosis.
song cycle about this already.
There's
We're really
definitely
funny.
song cycle, Edward.
Oh yeah, now we have the original tunes on, so we're gonna hear the original Edward harp song now.
Ooh, nice.
Because I think we get it here, don't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Except for the change in sample, I don't think there's a single note different.
I don't think so. Why would they? Oh. That portrait's gonna make me sad every time. Uh-oh.
Cecil can kill this monster in one hit. It's gonna take me like 5.
If you can
Yeah,
ever, like,
I
make a landing. cool. Got a bunch of 16 now.
The added lighting effect on Anna is awesome here. Like,
Yeah.
the Super Nintendo game has her show up half transparent, and I like that she's
Yeah.
glowing instead.
He is Chopin with a harp instead of a piano.
That's pretty awful and pretty awesome at the same time.
Anna's just her pen name, you know? I mean, they were at a castle in the sand.
Boo, boo,
George Sand.
boo.
Oh,
No.
I found it.
I missed it. I don't get it.
George Sand.
Oh my god. I was thinking about his sister that died, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and sister. But they weren't romantic.
You know, there's a whole video game exploration of how the sister, what would have happened if the sister didn't die, that you can go play.
Is it called Eternal Sonata?
Yeah, it is.
It's funny because I could also just be guessing that based on, like, it's such a troped kind of name anyway.
Yeah. No, we heard a good paper on that in January. And actually, I feel like Will mentions that he has a thing in one of his chapters of his just come out book on her unlimited replays.
Oh yeah, my copy's coming in the mail right now.
Oh,
no,
cool.
I keep waiting. Anyway.
I pre-ordered it, like...
I pre-ordered it too! It's
at
so
Naxvigum, and then I think Sarah Pasterek-Chenevey was the one that got hers first, and I was just like, damn it! But I've also read it already, because I read a draft. So I'm like, I can't complain if it takes longer to get here. But yeah, he has a chapter where he talks about Eternal Sonata, and it's really interesting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really
there
quickly,
is
this
a
is one of the
goal.
first points at which I feel Final Fantasy
Yes.
IV makes a good case for it being a more complex story than previous role-playing games, where, like, she's clearly dealing with some PTSD where she can't cast fire, even though she can cast thunder and blizzard.
Right.
Because
Yeah, this was always really interesting.
fire, like, burned her town. Now, side note, if you level her a bunch, she'll learn all the black magic from the end
Yes,
game
she will.
right now. So she can learn, like, Fire 2 and Fire 3, but she can't learn fire until you get to this dungeon.
Yeah. Yep. That's a great, like, Ludo narrative dissonance for you.
Yep.
That skeleton is freaking me out. That was not the original. Again, totally different. Totally different. Totally different.
Uh-huh. What do we think about this being on, like, pitched percussion?
I was actually going to make this point in a different track later, that often pitched percussion with a lot of rolls is used as a trope of weird, like, oddball, off their rocker type of moments, or characters.
But why does that show up for the mountain then, right?
That's the question here. 'Cause that's, yeah,
What is the, here, let's switch over.
What?
very different.
Synthy.
There is still pitch
There's
It's
no
almost
pitch
like a
percussion,
banjo.
and there's rolls, but it's got a folkier thing to it.
It almost sounds like banjo to me.
Yes, exactly. When we get to Spinny Bard is on my wavelength here. It's specifically the question mark track in Final Fantasy VI, and then it'll show up here later as well.
Yeah,
We'll get there.
you will.
Yeah, there's a track that I think is even more similar. Although it seems like they're trying to kind of evoke that and bring that out here, which is kind of a weird thing for Mount Ordeals.
There we go.
And the B section of this track is also the main theme of the game.
Yeah.
It brings it back.
This is a very unified score.
Yeah, very, very.
Yeah.
More so than 6 even. Because 6 just...
I don't think
goes
6
crazy
is all
light
that
motifs.
unified, except that it operates in paired leitmotifs.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, each relative pair are closely related, and otherwise, not so much.
I can't wait to see your chapter, because I basically argued not that in my chapter, in my disc.
Oh, see, I didn't take an opinion either way on the soundtrack as a whole.
I argue for a lot of unit, but the way I'm identifying unity is very, like, not even motifs, just like small gestures that get reused in multiple tracks.
Mm-hmm. Which really happens a lot here.
See, my chapter focuses so much on the macro elements that I don't get around to a lot of relationships between each individual track, except for the paired motifs. Yeah,
Micro level, you know, there's a lot of fanaticism where we have to find the right they get associated with the Empire era or political power generally, and they are littered throughout the United intentional ways. People can fight me on that. Or it's like this game. Where what? This game. Like I was this is another like I was driving to return all my library books and I kept going, man, that's a big leap in that.
Bum 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 ba-da.
Yeah.
Do 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 do. It's everywhere, man. Everywhere.
It's the statements for every single game, so like that's my one. Large leaps.
Large leaps, small falls.
Yeah, exactly. Or for Metroid last week, I was saying that like if you're doing like an organic versus technological.
Ooh. Man versus machine.
Yeah,
Nature Oh no.
Weird. The two. When somebody doesn't use a turn signal, so you want to change lanes on the highway. It's like exactly right. And the arms too, like wait, but I internally
It's just like comic bookish.
It does look pretty comic bookish.
Like more than the original. This is weird.
It's one of my pet peeves, by the way. Like,
The original one also looks pretty out of place relative to most of the rest of the cast. It's just a dumb enemy.
I don't get a lot of road rage. I get blame. Also, if you get to put on pants or something. Just wearing like pink underwear.
Yeah, Rosa's got no pants on. Though that might be the case in the original as well. I don't think that's necessarily a change.
From the sense of like it's like an armor piece or it's like a leotard.
Oh, well, I don't actually care about that. I thought Edward had the heart to put people to sleep. But I guess not.
So my brother came over last Sunday for WrestleMania, and I couldn't remember if he had met Molly or not. And he had actually come over and met her when Joe was in high school this one. And so I was like, "Oh yeah, you'll meet Molly." And he's like, "Oh no, I met her, but that was before she got famous as a streamer." Because he watches
Nice.
the link. So shout out to Matt Bro.
Not my cat. Link is not allowed in here.
Why is Yang blonde?
That's a holdover from the Amano artwork.
Because he's
Really?
obviously. He's got the same like weird mustache as Hulk Hogan.
He does have a Hulk Hogan mustache. I
He
just
does.
wonder if this is a form of whitewashing. High monk, not just a monk, a high monk.
That's right.
I'll
Prince
have what
is
he's
also
having.
new.
Yes.
So if he's a monk, does that mean he has OCD and he solves crimes?
Nope.
Nice.
For some reason,
I don't like a lot of
show.
prison roles, but I remember watching that in college with one of my sweet mates sophomore year, Mike. We used to just like sit in his room and watch episodes of Monk. It was wonderful.
Oh, hold on a second. I want to check something. Since I have to use a tent anyway, here is the original tent sound. Yay.
That sounded like a new version.
And
But I know that this right here is the old version.
here's the new tent.
Weird. It's very music boxy.
Music box with a bass.
Yeah.
Or like elevator music. I don't know. There was something kind of weird about it.
Oh, weird. Guess what? In this game, tents don't revive dead people. Sorry, Yang. You're out of luck. I'm not using a Phoenix down right now because I only have one.
Yeah.
Not fighting cockatrices either for the same reason.
Sorry, I'm singing like some random string.
Okay, I could have fought that one. Whatever.
Time to get you, Faboul.
Okay. I have stuff to say about this.
This track?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got?
I mean, let it play for a second.
Yeah. We'll let both versions play. I'm on a vocal arrangement of this track for the Overclocked Remix album of Final Fantasy.
Cool.
Can we hear it?
Yeah, they got it's a rock arrangement that got a choir of like 8 or 10 dudes to sing Latin.
That's awesome. Okay.
We'll do that
So,
after we do talk while the arranged version plays, Dana.
yeah, I'm really curious what this sounds like in the other one.
Whoa. Certainly tuned differently.
Okay, so one of the things I was grappling with in my chapter for this RPG volume that all 4 of us are in was the idea that I'm looking at this game that's kind of exoticizing ancient Egypt, but all of the exoticism literature is like the West versus the other. And so one of the first problems was, well, what happens when it's a game that was produced in Japan for a Japanese-only audience? And they're one of our others, traditionally. So then what? So then I'm sort of trying to attack this, and what I ended up stumbling across was a really interesting literature on Japan and Orientalism and self-Orientalism and Occidentalism. So there was some really interesting work. Koichi Iwabuchi writes about this really beautifully, but it's sort of like Japan is very aware of the way the West is Orientalizing it, and so there's what I think it's what Iwabuchi refers to as complicit exoticism happening, where they sort of play with that image in interesting ways, and I think this is really relevant in a lot of 80s and early 90s video games. Yeah. Where they kind of take those tropes and they make them really hyper aware. But then at the same time, particularly in anime, I think more so than in the video games, they also further the cause of Orientalism by Orientalizing other Asian cultures. And that sort of comes out of Japan's imperialist past in Asia. But it's also a way of sort of placing themselves on a level with the West called So there's a specific line that I want to, again, I think this is Iwabuchi, but I could be misquoting, where he says, there's always this dichotomy of the West and the Rest, but Japan is trying to subvert the trope without actually subverting it, where they turn it into a trichotomy of Japan, the West, and the rest, but they still don't upend the binary logic here. It's still us that. Thing, and then they also turned it back on us, and so Westerners end up being stereotyped. Similarly, the Russians get stereotyped in a lot of media in the late 80s. Guy to have a lot of Western antagonists are very selfish and manipulative and individualistic, and that's kind of and is very community and everybody is very polite and considerate of people around them. So this game was really interesting to me in that context, because I think this is also something you see happening a lot with fighting games, where we have all of these countries that are depicted, these people from all these countries depicted very simply with musical themes. And I know that
to do a Street Fighter episode at some point.
It'd be super fun.
I don't know if everybody watching the stream knows, but I play fighting games.
You have a custom controller that you can share everybody. Yep, good stuff.
All right, anyway, here's that arrangement of the Fabul theme.
Oh, I can't wait.
What? Is this Latin? Is that what you said?
It is Latin. That's been made up.
Same. I can't think of it from my headphones.
This really highlights those like parallel fourths and fifths and the chant like aspects of this.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun to record like a single voice part and then hear it put together with like 10 other guys on the internet.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And we'll give it one more second here because the pace of it's going to change. Anyway, it goes on for another 2 minutes or so, but that's the general gist of it.
Awesome.
Cool.
I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
In general, any overclocked remix track with more than 5 collaborators is guaranteed to be awesome because, like, they wouldn't have gotten together to do it if it wasn't going to be awesome. All right, back to the game here. Let's go back to the original music for the long section coming up.
Yeah, so, the final point here just being what I liked about finding that literature on kind of these 3 alternatives to just our classic Western exoticism was that it really complicates things in a exact way for me. Because I often, in like YouTube video comments on like fighting games, for example, there'll always be somebody that'll point out like, oh, these are kind of like weird kind of race-based stereotypes or country stereotypes, and there's a lot of responses that are sort of like, oh, well, Japan kind of is one of our others and is a subaltern, they can't be racist against others, or it's either that or it's something along the lines of, oh, but they're lampooning themselves too, so that like makes these caricatures okay. And I will argue, that they're particularly pernicious. I think they're latching on to some interesting auditory shortcuts. They're like, oh, this is a folk song from this region, or this is...
Yeah. There's an amount of shorthand, especially if we're talking like Street Fighter 2, which is the go-to game for this particular topic.
Yeah.
That it uses. My favorite joke about that franchise, though, is that in 1991... Japanese people thought that all Americans were either Ken or Guile. In 2015, they all thought we were Rufus.
I mean, Guile
enough Street Fighter to know.
Do you know who Ken and Guile are, Julianne?
No.
Ken is the blonde counterpart to Ryu, the Street Fighter character in the red gi.
Okay.
And Guile is the Air Force captain with the flat hair.
Okay, yeah, no,
Rufus
I know that.
is a fat trucker who like jiggles around.
Okay.
I mean, Julianne, what you need to know to understand Guile is look up the meme. Guile's meme goes with everything.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memes of life. It's such an epic theme. I actually have it for string quartet. And I have it listed in my rep list. I have like Guile's theme, and then in parentheses I have it goes with everything.
I love Guile's theme.
It's real good. It's got a killer fellow part now. I have a lot of like stuff that's on my rep list only because I was amused. Like I have the Leak Spin song. They gave us Polka.
Leak Spin is so good. Abby loves it. We could probably listen to that for like 2 hours great. That could be the whole stream for one night. It's just like it's so good.
Yeah, I have the Yvonne Polka arranged for string quartet because it's a good song. It's got a nice 4-part harmony going.
This is one of those times, like, as we saw in Chrono Trigger, where the boss music pervades over the narrative portions and several different boss fights. It's sort of like a cascade.
Yeah.
This is one of the first games to do that, where the boss fight isn't just for when the boss plays.
Yeah.
It's for high-tension moments.
Yeah.
I will say that I'm not going to fast-forward through all of this twice, but I wish we could hear the arranged version of Golbez's music that's going to come in. We have it on the original tunes right now, and that's for the best. But Golbez's piece of music is one of the most iconic villain themes in all of gaming. I would say it's actually more iconic and, like, the boss theme than Kefka's is, even though I love Kefka as a character.
Fighting words, but, you know, hard to argue. It's hard to argue with that.
That when Golbez's theme starts to play for the first time, you're like, oh shit, he's the guy. You don't feel that way about Kefka.
Kefka's laugh can take it though, in terms of just like sheer, because it's so much shorter.
Right, I agree with that.
It does the same work, but it's like, oh my god, bone chilling.
Well, Kefka is so nuanced that by the end, it
Part
becomes
of it is, Kefka's
so
introduced
terrifying.
as the jester and like
Right,
clearly second in command.
Silly, like
He's
comic
doing a
relief
shitty job
character.
that obviously the guy in charge wouldn't have to do. That is
And
visiting the
it
castle.
sort of fits that, but like as we learned from what Dana has presented on and stuff, it's sort of like evocative of not just silliness, but like madness, and madness in a terrifying kind of fascistic way.
Yeah.
Whereas like Golbez is just pure evil. It's deployed. Once it's deployed, you just know what it is. You don't. It doesn't have that development over the narrative of the game.
And it allows you to have more fun when you're like, this guy's just straight up evil. He's just evil. That's it. You can do different things with a musical theme to indicate that. I do love how, you know, we point this out, that a lot of the game opens with subversion of typical, what we would now think of as codified RPG tropes. And it's one of the early a lot of it.
Dana, you're like completely cutting out. I can't hear you.
Yeah,
And-
we can't hear you very well there, Dana.
Yeah. I was... Where was I going with that?
See, if Edward didn't suck so bad, it'd be fine.
Trying to figure out what meter his little harp thing is in.
I think it's just a single flourish. It's not in a meter, right?
Yeah, I'm being an idiot.
Yeah, it's just a single stroke. It's not metric.
I know. But the beaming, you could tell from the beaming, like,
Right.
I'm trying to count them. What is it, like 12, 16 or something like that? It's been a while. Where's
wanna point
Kane's
out
deep voice?
The silence to break the track that we just heard and the track we're about to hear is key to the effectiveness of this piece of music. And we get a long bit of silence, too.
What? Your sword.
Where do your sword, fool?
Cool. I don't remember that one. Again, a nice remix of the Red Wings theme.
love this.
Yeah. I think our first organ hearing
Yep.
in this game.
Yeah.
Gee, do you think he's a major boss? He has organ and
He's
a lot of
also
semitones.
So wide. I remember always thinking like he's such a wide sprite, like you just know. He's
Right.
serious business. And he walks so slowly.
Yeah, he does. Because he doesn't need to hurry.
No.
I love the ghost eyes in the Amano portrait too.
Yeah.
Scary.
Oh, and this organ passage here.
The
Yeah.
little, like,
Fuck.
it's
Right.
Bach, but it's
It
not
is.
Bach.
Well, it is debated whether, prelude and toccata and fugue, right? Prelude and fugue, correct. Toccata, fugue, and D minor. It's actually Bach.
Love it. Hey, Doug.
Whoa.
I did not come to treat with worms. He's
That's-
like just
that's
better than
pretty
you. You'll notice, and this is true in the Super Nintendo version as well, when he moves, it's not just that he moves slower, his frame rate is different than the other characters. Like, he is not normal.
That's a good point.
See, when Kane moves, it's very smooth, right? Watch Golbez move the next time he shifts position. He is, in every definition of the word, otherworldly at this point.
Nice. Silence.
That's right, it's a new month. I've got to throw my Twitch Prime subscription over to Doug.
Exactly. We give Doug all the love. I haven't even started any of my own streaming, although it is coming soon. But I do auto-host Doug when he does his practice sessions and things. Like, I'm usually watching this shit, so everybody else should too. But no one follows me yet, so.
You gotta do
I'll
the
follow
stuff.
you.
I will. I'm getting there. Once this move happens, the setup will change a little bit. So I think that'll change some things.
Maybe. I want to... Hold on, where is it? I wanted to hear Golbez on the PSP version of the game.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't want to hear somebody else talk about it. That's what we're doing. No, dumb.
There's nothing I hate more than when I'm looking for like a long play.
I know, right?
And then I open it and it says long play, and then it's, hey guys. I'm like, damn it.
so today we're gonna
Alright, I can't find a quick one right now. I'll pull it up next time. Next stream, I'll get it.
Like, listen, when I want commentary, I want commentary.
No.
But if you're gonna put text to long play, you better not say nothing.
I know, right? Alright, let's go talk to the
Wait,
king.
nah.
He's up here, right? Yeah, here.
Don't worry about me. That's good.
Good. Now, I cannot remember what Yang's wife's name is right now.
Is it,
She is
What?
named, though. Sheila,
Oh,
that's right.
wasted opportunity. Why is she Yang?
Now, if you talk to her, you'll notice that she gave invading soldiers a thwacking with the frying pan. That's an awesome bit of foreshadowing.
It really is.
Peach has a frying pan, obviously.
Also, yes, related to Peach.
Alright, and yes, after we sail off to Mysidia, we're going to be done for the night, by the way. So we're essentially done. Short one cutscene now. when we originally did Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, we'd go to like 12:15 or 12:30. I can't do that anymore.
We just got too old.
That's right.
Over a year.
Too old. Over a year.
Yeah.
Deathbringer.
Right.
Sweet new toys, even if it's a scary sword. I'm not going to sell that. That actually has a unique effect.
Gosh,
Alright.
so many good ramp-ups in this game.
Oh.
It's true, there are.
This one's just cute. Very cheerful brat.
Isn't this
I
Sid's theme?
love you, you
Yeah.
big lunkhead. This is Sid's theme, yes.
Yeah.
You big lunkhead.
This is the first time we get this before we even see. We've seen Sid before, though.
We've
Yeah,
met
but
Sid
even-
briefly,
But
as a secondary
didn't-
character who's like, oh, my daughter's giving me crap, I
Right.
gotta go home.
yeah, he was in the castle.
Right.
Interesting.
But we're getting this without Sid
Yeah.
for the first time.
Weird. I love that they overlay the water effect on this.
I'm sure this boat ride will go well.
Oh, yeah. I remember surprising both of you when in the Game Boy Advance version of Final Fantasy VI, you could ride the boat and fight Leviathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was present.
It'd be nice if you could fight him here, but, no dice.
Yes, I do remember.
Did that bother you?
Because the ocean theme cut out the drums.
Yeah, because they needed
Yes!
the effect. What's going on? Shiver me timbers! Aw, holy mackerel!
Mackerel!
And other, like, sea-related puns.
Oh man. Oh, I don't think have we heard this? Oh yeah, we have heard
No.
We
this.
have.
Have we?
Yep.
Yeah, that was in the Village Mist when
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
after the.
Whoops. It almost looked like he pushed Gang in there. That's right.
We're in the water, so no drums here because drums and water do not mix. What?
Oh, this cutscene is from the DS version. It's randomly
know.
inserted.
Bit of a tone shift.
Right, it's a complete graphical tone shift. But that's from the DS and iOS versions of the game. There's a couple of those that are inserted into this game.
This reminds me of waking up in the Dark World in 6. There's a beach there too.
There's a beach. There's beach sounds. There's
Yep.
not a lot of beach people. Nobody likes actually being at the beach in Final
In
Fantasy games.
Any Final Fantasy game.
No.
Well, there's Costa del Sol in Final Fantasy VIII. It's like kind of a beachy town.
Yeah, there's the beachy
Costa del
town.
Sol is 7, I think, right?
Oh, is that 7?
Yep.
Isn't there a beachy town in 8 too? There is.
It's called.
I'm just mixing up the names.
I like Sun Breath Town.
Alright, this is a good time to access the alternate version of this track.
This is also great that it's happening on the world map, which is extremely
it's the synthy
unusual.
one. The synthy one's annoying. We're not even going to listen to that again. Let's go here instead, and we're going to be done for the night. I love this track.
If you want your whole... destroy your whole idea of what music sounds like, come to Mysidia.
Now, Spoony Bard, this is the track that reminds me of Question Marks.
Yes, and it should.
We alluded to it earlier. All the kind of quirky pitched percussion and all the rolls and also what is that? Like it's like
Cuica! Did Doug say? Is Doug here? Isn't that the Cuica? Yes! Spoony Bard knows it too.
Alright, here we go.
No.
What?
It's not as quirky. It like normalizes it too much.
This one sounds like the Final Fantasy VI Magitech factory underneath it.
Right, because it's got that like metallic percussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds perfectly fine on its own. I just don't prefer it to the original.
Right.
It's so much sharper.
The hoo-hoo is all wrong.
Yeah, it's like, is it a gasp or like a weird exhale or both?
Anyway,
it's like it's hard to tell whether you're breathing in or breathing out here.
I think we should stop here, because otherwise the next stopping point is right after Mount Ordeals, and that's going to be another 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And I think it's better to start next week from this spot.
Oh,
so I
yeah.
think we're going to call it for the night here.
Cool. And we can start with this track too, which is so fun. I'll be excited to start with it.
Yeah.
Yay!
Thank you all for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
I'm really excited to play more of this game.
Alright, it's nice to have a nice slow pace through it.
Yeah. Well, there's so much that we want to stop and enjoy, and I like the comparing against the arrangements and the OC remixes, and it's really fun to bring in all these other tracks.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've got a couple other killer Overclock remix arrangements to talk
can't
about
wait.
as we arrive at certain pieces.
Enjoy those.
But we'll keep chatting in the weeks to come.
Yay!
Alright, for now, have a good night, everybody.
Good night.